Welcome to our session today, where we'll be exploring business research, focusing specifically on Chapter 7. This chapter centers on qualitative research tools, which are essential for gaining a deeper understanding in business contexts. Throughout this module, we will thoughtfully explore various methods and techniques. These tools are designed to help businesses uncover rich insights into areas like consumer behaviors, market dynamics, and organizational challenges. Our aim is to look beyond service data and understand the deeper reasons and meanings. Ultimately, this chapter helps us understand the why behind the numbers, emphasizing interpretations, subjective meanings, and human experiences. By the end of this chapter, you will have a clear understanding of qualitative research and its value in business. We will begin by outlining the key distinctions, helping you differentiate between qualitative and quantitative research approaches and understand their unique applications. Next, you will gain insights into how qualitative research serves as a foundational tool, particularly in exploratory research designs where a deep understanding is crucial. We will also cover the main philosophical orientations that guide qualitative inquiry, offering a theoretical framework. For practical application, we will gently guide you through preparing an outline for a focus group interview. Finally, we will examine how technological advancements are shaping and enhancing these qualitative research methods in today's business environment. Continuing with our learning outcomes for this chapter, you will also recognize various common qualitative research tools. Beyond simple recognition, you will gain a nuanced understanding of each tool's advantages and limitations, helping you choose the best method for your research. Finally, we will discuss an important cautionary point in research. We will consider the risks of making significant business decisions based solely on preliminary findings from exploratory research, highlighting the need for further validation and comprehensive analysis. Let's begin our exploration with a real-world example to illustrate the power of qualitative research in business. Consider Vans, a shoe company known for skateboard culture. Vans wanted to expand its appeal and evolve into a broader lifestyle brand. To achieve this, traditional sales data alone would not reveal the necessary cultural connections. Vans needed to ask a deeper, qualitative question. What other consumer segments share cultural meanings resonant with skateboard culture? To answer this, the company chose an ethnographic research approach. This involved researchers immersing themselves in relevant cultural communities to understand lifestyles, values, and shared meanings, which guided their brand evolution. To establish a clear understanding, let's define qualitative business research. It is a thoughtful approach designed to address business objectives through deep subjective interpretations without relying on numerical measurements. The core focus of qualitative research is on discovery, aiming to uncover inner meanings, motivations, and new insights that quantitative data often misses. It is important to understand that this research is researcher-dependent. This means the researcher actively extracts meaning and constructs interpretations from unstructured responses, such as interview transcripts or collages. Let's now consider when qualitative research methods are most beneficial. They are especially useful in the early stages of inquiry, when specific research objectives are difficult to formulate. It is the right choice when your main goal is to develop a detailed and deep understanding of a phenomenon, moving beyond surface observations. Qualitative methods are excellent when you need to observe and understand how something naturally occurs in its authentic setting, or to learn the specific terms people use. It is also an ideal framework for studying behavior that is strongly influenced by its immediate and broader context. Finally, qualitative research is valuable when a fresh, innovative perspective is needed for a persistent problem that other methods haven't resolved. Let's now look at the differences between qualitative and quantitative research, as they serve distinct yet complementary purposes. Quantitative business research is descriptive and conclusive, aiming to measure and test hypotheses. It addresses specific objectives through numerical measurement, often from large samples, and statistical analysis to find patterns and draw conclusions. In contrast, Qualitative research is exploratory, seeking insights and understanding underlying reasons. It uses small, purposive samples, asks broad and open-ended questions, and relies on the researcher's subjective interpretation of non-numerical data, rather than statistical analysis, to derive meaning. Here is another example from a major global corporation, illustrating the impact of qualitative inquiry. Procter & Gamble, known for its data-driven approach, often uses qualitative research to connect deeply with its consumers. In one instance, insights from qualitative methods revealed a surprising truth. Some persistent brand issues were not due to the products themselves. Instead, these discoveries showed the company was dealing with an underlying internal management problem. This subtle insight would have been very difficult to obtain solely through standardized surveys or sales data analysis. The fundamental difference between qualitative and quantitative research also applies to the nature of the data they use. Qualitative data is not characterized by numbers or statistical metrics. Instead, it appears in rich, descriptive forms like textual narratives, visual portrayals, or oral accounts. Its focus is on capturing stories, visual representations, meaningful characterizations, interpretations, and other expressive descriptions that reveal nuances and context. Quantitative data, on the other hand, represents phenomena by systematically assigning numerical values to observations in an ordered way, allowing for statistical analysis and pattern identification. This exhibit offers a clear comparison between qualitative and quantitative research methodologies, detailing their distinctions across several dimensions. Please take a moment to carefully review it, absorbing the details presented. As you examine the exhibit, you will notice differences in research purpose, typical questions asked, sample sizes, and the nature of data analysis for each approach. Understanding these distinctions is fundamental, helping you confidently choose the most appropriate research approach to meet your objectives and gain insights. It is important to understand that qualitative research is a diverse field, not a single approach. It includes several distinct theoretical orientations, each with unique philosophical roots, frameworks, and techniques. Today, we will explore 4 primary orientations: phenomenology, drawing from philosophy and psychology. Next, we have ethnography, with roots in anthropology, focusing on cultural immersion. Following that, we will discuss grounded theory, an inductive approach from sociology that emphasizes building theory from data. Finally, we will examine case studies, a versatile approach used in psychology and business research. We will now explore each of these qualitative research orientations in more detail, understanding their specific principles and applications. Let's begin our exploration with phenomenology, a thoughtful research orientation. This is a philosophical approach dedicated to studying human experiences, aiming to understand the essence of what it is like to experience something. Its central premise is that human experience is subjective, uniquely perceived by each individual, and shaped by context and personal history. The goal of a phenomenological researcher is to gently describe, reflect upon, and interpret these lived experiences from the participant's own point of view. To achieve this understanding, phenomenology relies on open-ended, conversational interviews where respondents are encouraged to share detailed accounts of their personal experiences, naturally and without rigid structure. Let's consider an example of interpretive power within phenomenology using hermeneutics. Think about the phrase, "When will I ever learn?" especially during a stressful experience like car shopping. A researcher using a hermeneutic approach, which we'll define next, doesn't simply take this phrase at face value as frustration. Instead, they carefully analyze this statement as textual data, pointing to a deeper underlying theme or narrative. In this example, a hermeneutic analysis might uncover a theme of self-responsibility, perhaps with regret over past decisions, or a pattern of lessons learned and forgotten. This provides a richer psychological insight into the car shopping experience and the individual self-perception. To clarify, the method of interpretation we just mentioned is called hermeneutics. Hermeneutics is an approach to understanding phenomenology that relies on the careful analysis of texts, such as interview recordings or journals. Through these texts, a person shares their unique story and lived experience. A key concept in hermeneutics is the hermeneutic unit. This refers to a precise passage of text from a respondent's story, which the researcher then links to a core theme. This theme can emerge from the story during analysis or be a pre-established concept the researcher brings to the data for interpretation. Next, we turn to ethnography, a deeply immersive and culturally focused qualitative research orientation. Originating in anthropology, ethnography is a distinct way of studying cultures through methods that require direct, sustained engagement within that cultural context. It involves methods where the researcher becomes actively and deeply involved within the culture they wish to understand, moving beyond just observation. A core ethnographic approach is participant observation. This is a strategy where the researcher intentionally immerses themselves within the culture being studied, living alongside its members and participating in their daily routines. This allows them to gather rich, authentic data from personal observations, interactions, and lived experiences within that cultural setting. Our third distinct qualitative research orientation is grounded theory, a systematic and inductive approach. Grounded theory is an inductive approach that starts with data collection. Instead of testing a preconceived hypothesis, theoretical explanations emerge organically from the ongoing analysis of the collected data. Researchers carefully ask open-ended questions when reviewing information from respondents or historical records. Crucially, they continuously question these responses and data, comparing and refining initial categories and concepts. This iterative process helps derive deeper explanations, building a robust theory from the ground up, informed by observations. Key questions guiding this theoretical development include: what is happening here, and how is this phenomenon different? Finally, let's consider case studies, a recognized and versatile qualitative research orientation. A case study is the carefully documented history of a person, group, organization, or event, offering a comprehensive narrative. It provides an in-depth, nuanced exploration of a single case, allowing for a holistic understanding of its complexities. Within the descriptive narrative of a case study, themes and patterns are often identified by analyzing how frequently certain terms or synonyms appear. This systematic analysis helps highlight central issues, dominant characteristics, and recurring patterns important to the case, contributing to a more complete understanding. Here's a fascinating example of a creative qualitative research tool used in a real-world scenario. The Spark market research firm employs a sensory safari method for clients such as Time Warner Cable, designed to elicit deeper, nonverbal responses. During these sessions, Spark engages all 5 senses by offering materials such as fabrics, scents, sounds, and various objects to gather emotional and experiential data. In one particular session, a participant was prompted to visually express their feelings about technology. They created a heart-shaped image, placing technology at its center. This visual communication conveyed a deep, positive emotional connection to technology, a sentiment that might have been challenging to capture through verbal descriptions or surveys alone. This example subtly illustrates how our senses and nonverbal expressions can uncover profound insights that go beyond what words alone might convey. Let's now discuss a widely recognized qualitative research tool, the focus group interview. This method involves an unstructured yet expertly guided, free-flowing interview with a small, carefully selected group of 6 to 10 people, designed to encourage rich discussion. A skilled moderator leads the session, gently encouraging open dialogue, interaction, and productive discussion among all participants. Focus groups offer several advantages for exploratory research. First, they are relatively fast and easy to conduct, providing quick insights. Second, they foster a dynamic environment where ideas can build upon each other, leading to richer insights. Third, a single focus group can efficiently offer multiple perspectives on a topic. Fourth, they provide flexibility, allowing the moderator to explore new topics or delve deeper into emerging themes. Finally, as clients can observe from behind a one-way mirror, focus groups allow for immediate scrutiny and engagement with the qualitative data as it unfolds. The careful and strategic composition of the group is an absolutely crucial factor for the overall success and effectiveness of a focus group discussion. The ideal group size is generally considered to be between 6 and 10 people. This range is large enough to facilitate a lively, diverse discussion with multiple viewpoints, yet small enough to ensure that every participant has ample opportunity to actively contribute their thoughts and experiences without feeling overshadowed. Regarding demographic and psychographic composition, the group should ideally be relatively homogeneous in terms of key characteristics relevant to the research. This homogeneity is crucial because participants who share similar lifestyles, backgrounds, and experiences tend to feel more comfortable, secure, and confident speaking openly, honestly, and candidly, as they perceive a stronger sense of shared understanding and relatable context among their peers, which fosters deeper, more authentic dialogue. The moderator's role is perhaps the most important element for a focus group success. A moderator is the skilled professional who calmly leads the interview, guiding the discussion and ensuring everyone has a fair chance to speak and contribute. An exceptional moderator needs several qualities to manage group dynamics and gather valuable data effectively. First, they should quickly build rapport and establish a comfortable, trusting atmosphere, making everyone feel at ease. Second, they must be a perceptive and empathetic listener, paying attention to both verbal and subtle nonverbal cues. Third, and crucially, they must avoid sharing personal opinions, biases, or perspectives, as this could influence responses and compromise research integrity. Finally, they need the delicate skill to control the discussion, keeping it on track, gently redirecting tangents, and managing dominant personalities. All of this should be done without appearing overly authoritative or overbearing, maintaining a free-flowing yet focused environment. While a focus group discussion should feel unstructured and free-flowing to participants, it is crucial that the session is not unplanned. Effective focus groups are carefully guided by a structured document called a discussion guide. This guide serves as a comprehensive outline, beginning with introductory comments to inform the group about the session's purpose and rules, and to establish a comfortable environment. After the introduction, the discussion guide systematically outlines all key topics or specific questions to be addressed during the discussion. This ensures that all research objectives are thoroughly covered and explored. Most discussion guides follow an effective general structure for a productive focus group session. First, always begin with a warm welcome and brief introductions, designed to make every participant feel comfortable and recognized. After introductions, start the interview with a broad, non-threatening icebreaker question, allowing participants to ease into the discussion naturally. As the interview progresses and participants become more comfortable, questions should become increasingly specific, using a funnel approach to guide the discussion to core issues. If there is one critically important objective, that specific question should be reserved for the very end of the main discussion. This timing ensures rapport is established and enough context is gathered for an informed response. Finally, the session should conclude with a debriefing statement, informing respondents of the study's purpose and offering a chance to ask questions, ensuring transparency and a positive experience. Advancements in digital technology have allowed us to adapt traditional qualitative research to online environments, opening new avenues for data collection. An online focus group involves a selected group of individuals who provide unstructured comments and insights by entering their remarks into an electronic platform. These platforms can be real-time chat rooms for synchronous discussions or asynchronous message boards where participants contribute over an extended period. Another innovative form of online qualitative research is the focus blog. This involves setting up an informal, continuous focus group as an internet blog, designed to facilitate ongoing collection of rich qualitative data from participant comments and interactions over a longer period, often weeks or months. Online focus groups offer distinct advantages and disadvantages compared to traditional face-to-face formats. The advantages of online formats are notable in today's research landscape. First, they are fast to implement and conduct, accelerating data collection. Second, they are generally less expensive to execute. Third, they can easily bring together participants from diverse geographical areas. Fourth, the anonymity of the online setting often encourages more candid and honest feedback, as participants may feel less self-conscious. Finally, a convenient advantage is that the entire discussion transcript is automatically recorded, saving time on manual transcription. However, it is also important to acknowledge the disadvantages. First, researchers typically have less direct control over participants and their engagement throughout the session. Second, participants cannot physically interact with or experience a product in a tangible way, limiting sensory feedback. Finally, there is a significant loss of nonverbal data, as facial expressions and body language are largely absent. Finally, the moderator's ability to probe deeply into nuanced responses and manage the flow of conversation is often reduced in an online environment compared to an in-person setting. Beyond the distinctions between online and in-person formats, it's essential to recognize the inherent limitations that apply to all focus groups. As discussed, the success of these sessions depends heavily on having an objective, sensitive, and effective moderator, a professional who isn't always easy to find. Focus groups can also pose unique sampling challenges, as carefully assembling the right mix of willing and representative individuals can be difficult. Furthermore, depending on cultural norms, a face-to-face setting might be unsuitable for openly discussing highly personal or sensitive topics, potentially leading to inhibited responses. Finally, it's important to note that focus groups can be quite expensive, especially when outsourced to a specialized external firm rather than managed by an in-house team. As an effective alternative to group discussions, we also utilize depth interviews, a powerful one-on-one qualitative technique. This involves an intensive one-on-one interview carefully conducted between a skilled professional researcher and a single respondent, during which they delve into a relevant business or social topic. One powerful technique used in depth interviews is laddering. Laddering is a specialized probing approach that systematically asks respondents to compare brands, products, or concepts at different levels of abstraction, moving from concrete to more abstract. This technique is designed to help the researcher move up the ladder of abstraction, eliciting distinctions at the attribute level, then the personal benefit level, and finally reaching the underlying value or motivation level that drives consumer choices. Beyond structured group interviews, qualitative data can also be gathered through less formal or more flexible methods, allowing for diverse insights. Conversations are an informal data gathering approach, where the researcher engages a respondent in a natural discussion about the subject in a relaxed manner. Semi-structured interviews, in contrast, are more formal and deliberate. They are typically written, asking respondents to provide concise essay responses to specific open-ended questions, allowing for thoughtful answers. These semi-structured interviews offer several advantages, including addressing more precise issues than broad conversations, ensuring objectives are met. Additionally, their structured responses often make them easier to interpret and analyze. Since a live interviewer isn't always required for each response, they can be an efficient and cost-effective way to collect qualitative data on a larger scale. It is important to acknowledge the transformative impact of social networking platforms on modern qualitative research methodologies. This phenomenon has become one of the most pervasive trends in human communication and information exchange, reshaping how we connect and share. For many, social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram have become primary tools for daily communication and information consumption. A significant portion of information shared on these platforms discusses business and consumer-related topics, from product reviews to customer service complaints. As a result of this rich data, companies are actively monitoring these sites, using analytical tools to gather candid feedback and insights related to their brands and services. This practice, known as social listening, has become a crucial qualitative research approach for understanding public sentiment and emerging trends. Let's now turn our attention to some highly insightful techniques specifically designed to uncover subconscious associations and implicit beliefs that respondents may not consciously articulate. Free association techniques simply involve recording a respondent's very first top-of-mind reactions and spontaneous thoughts in response to a specific stimulus, such as a brand name, a product image, or a company logo. This technique is invaluable as it can help researchers meticulously map out a respondent's mental associations, cognitive pathways, or entire memory network related to a particular concept or brand, revealing underlying connections. Another very common and effective associative method is sentence completion. In this technique, respondents are presented with a series of incomplete sentences and are simply asked to complete them with the first words or phrases that come to mind. For instance, prompts such as, "People who drink beer are blank," or "A man who drinks light beer is blank," can be used. The unique ways in which respondents complete these sentences can powerfully reveal their underlying attitudes, deeply held stereotypes, unspoken perceptions, and latent biases towards the subjects under investigation. Sometimes the most direct way to truly understand human behavior and motivations is through direct observation in natural settings. In observational research, the researchers' detailed descriptions of what happens in the field, including actions, interactions, and environmental cues, become the primary data, recorded as field notes. This approach is particularly useful for gaining insights into behaviors, emotions, or social dynamics that respondents might struggle to articulate verbally or be unwilling to disclose. Another creative and visually driven qualitative tool involves the use of collages. Here, respondents are asked to prepare a personal collage using images, words, and sometimes objects chosen to represent their unique experiences, feelings, or perceptions with a product, brand, or concept. These rich visual representations are then carefully analyzed by the researcher for their deeper symbolic meaning, emotional resonance, and underlying narratives that words alone might not fully capture. Projective research techniques are a fascinating and powerful category of qualitative tools designed to uncover deeper, often subconscious, insights. They represent an indirect way of questioning, crafted to bypass potentially biased direct responses and explore unexpressed thoughts and feelings. Instead of a direct question, this technique allows respondents to project their beliefs, attitudes, and feelings onto a third party, an inanimate object, or a hypothetical situation. For example, instead of asking, "Are you worried about debt?" a projective approach might reframe it as, "Why do you think the average person in our society gets into debt?" This indirect methodology is particularly useful when studying sensitive or personal issues. It creates a psychological distance, allowing people to express genuine feelings, concerns, and opinions more freely and honestly, without the pressure of direct self-disclosure. A well-known example of a projective technique is the Thematic Apperception Test, or TAT. This test presents subjects with an intentionally ambiguous picture, often showing consumers with products, leaving much to interpretation. The image is designed to be unclear and open to multiple interpretations, aiming to elicit personal projections. The investigator then asks the subject to create a story about what is happening, what led to it, and what might happen next. The narratives and stories individuals create in response to these ambiguous images are carefully analyzed. They can reveal underlying assumptions, subconscious needs, motivations, and deeply held values, offering psychological insights. On this slide, you'll see an example of an ambiguous picture commonly used in a thematic apperception test, or TAT. Notice how the scene is deliberately ambiguous and open to a variety of interpretations, without a definitive context or clear narrative. The relationships between the people aren't explicitly defined, and their emotional states are left unclear, inviting subjective projection. A skilled researcher would present this intriguing image to a participant and ask them to spontaneously create a story about it, drawing from their imagination and experiences. Crucially, the themes, conflicts, and character motivations that emerge from the participant's story are carefully analyzed. These elements are interpreted as reflections of the participant's internal world, personal perspectives, and psychological processes, offering a window into their subjective reality. It is crucial for researchers to use qualitative methodologies responsibly, understanding their limitations and appropriate applications. First, regarding interpretation, remember that qualitative research is exploratory. Its rich findings are valuable for generating hypotheses, uncovering themes, and providing deep insights into motivations. However, these findings cannot legitimately be used to draw conclusive statistical inferences or make generalizations about a larger population. Replicability can also be a significant challenge in qualitative research. Since the researcher is often the primary instrument of data collection and analysis, bringing their unique perspective to interpretation, another researcher might not reach precisely the same conclusions from the same raw data. Furthermore, we should learn from historical precedents. The motivational research era of the mid-20th century serves as a cautionary tale. While this period yielded interesting, though often unscientific, interpretations of consumer behavior, it highlights the risks of overinterpretation and drawing sweeping conclusions from subjective data without adequate validation. Finally, even with excellent and rigorously conducted research, real-world barriers can often hinder an organization's ability to make purely scientific, data-driven decisions. Time is often a major constraint. Decision-makers often need answers and insights more quickly than a thorough research process can realistically provide, leading to compromised decisions. Money also presents a significant barrier. Budgetary limitations can severely constrain the scope and quality of research, forcing trade-offs that may compromise the depth of insights. Critically, we should also consider the role of human emotion and subjective factors. Sometimes personal biases among decision-makers, company politics, or emotional attachments to an idea can unfortunately override or disregard objective research findings. Recognizing these barriers is the crucial first step towards navigating them, advocating for data-driven decisions, and ensuring that valuable research truly informs strategic choices.